We finally have the full list of NXT call ups that WWE is ready to bring up to the main roster. And this class has some pretty big shoes to fill considering just how good the last NXT call up class has been so far. Obviously, you take a look at Obafemi, Trick Williams, Javon Evans. Trick Williams already carrying the United States Championship. Obafemi just took out Brock Lesnar. Javon Evans just had an incredible ladder match at WrestleMania. And I know that there were others, and I do think that they will inevitably get their shot on the main roster. I just don't think they really have gotten that shot yet. But this NXT Call Up class has a lot of potential, and we already know some of the storylines that they're going to be taking place in. So, obviously, in this video, we're going to be talking all about the NXT call ups, and we're going to go through them individually and give my overall thoughts on them. And real quickly, before we get too far ahead in the video, I want to say that if you are a WWE fan, consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. That is all we post is WWE related content. So if you are a WWE fan, again, consider subscribing. It's free. You can always change your mind later. So let's start off by talking about Joe Hendry, who has officially signed with Monday Night Raw, and we know, judging off of the most recent episode of Monday Night Raw, that his first feud is going to be Logan Paul. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of here for it. I actually kind of want to see what kind of story they could tell between Joe Hendry and Logan Paul because I feel like they could tell a really funny and interesting story. Because let's call a spade a spade. Joe Hendry isn't necessarily brought up to the main roster to be this super serious character. He is Joe Hendry. He's meant to be fun. He's meant to bring a smile to your face. We saw that happen on NXT all the time where you say his name and he appears. So who knows what we're going to be getting out of this feud and who knows what we're going to be getting out of Joe Hendry on Monday Night Raw. But I'm very excited for Joe Hendry to be on Raw and I'm very excited to see what they have in store in this feud between him and Logan Paul because again, I think that it could be a really fun and entertaining feud. Obviously, we know how good Logan Paul is, and we know how good Logan Paul can be working as a character and having kind of these more comedic feuds, if you want to say that. Immediately think of his feud with LA Knight, where LA Knight broke into his house and was swimming in his pool and I'm fully anticipating we see something along those lines, or we just see Joe Hendry popping up out of random places around Logan Paul. So that feud, I think, has a lot of potential actually to be pretty good. Actually, I'm actually really excited for it. Next up, probably the one that I am more personally excited to see, and that is Ethan Page, who is signed to Monday Night Raw. I have been a massive Ethan Page fan since he was brought in to NXT. I think that he is one of the better all around workers that the WWE has to offer. When you take his in ring ability and you tie that into his character work and you put them together, you have Ethan Page. And it is really nice to see him be able to show the range that he has with his character work because we've seen him have kind of more comedic storylines. I think of his time with the North American Championship in Chelsea Green, but he's also been able to carry these super kind of serious storylines. And I'm also very excited for what they already have him doing on Monday Night Raw, and that is potentially joining the Intercontinental Championship picture. Because if you go through the names that are in that IC title picture right now, Ethan Page would be a phenomenal matchup for almost everybody. Imagine a match between him and Penta. Oh boy. And then, not to mention, he has a ton of history in NXT with Javon Evans. And those two battling for the Intercontinental Championship while Penta is still carrying the title, I think would make for fantastic television. Or they could just go all out and give us a triple threat. Regardless of what they end up doing there, I think it speaks to where WWE sees Ethan Page and immediately putting him up against guys like Penta and Javon Evans and everyone else in that IC title picture, and him being put into the IC title picture. Like, I think that's a big vote of confidence from WWE to show to Ethan Page that you are going to be treated very good on the main roster. So again, out of everybody that has been called up so far from NXT, Ethan Page is the one that I am most excited to watch because for such a long time now, I have felt that he was more than ready to make the jump to the main roster. And to finally see him on Monday Night Raw has me very, very excited. Up next, we have Sol Ruka, as someone else that I am very, very excited to see what she can do on the main roster. And her first promo was up against Liv Morgan. So again, another big vote of confidence from WWE here. Putting Sol Ruka up against someone like a Liv Morgan, and a Liv Morgan that is currently the women's world champion right now, I think is a massive vote of confidence from WWE. And I think the Royal Rumble really opened everyone's eyes as to just how good Sol Ruka can be. If you watch NXT on a regular basis like I do, you've already known how good she is. But I think her performance at the Royal Rumble really opened everyone's eyes who are fans of just the main roster and don't necessarily watch NXT. Now, I do have my concerns on whether or not she is 100% healthy right now because, in case you somehow managed to miss it, Zarya basically nearly decapitated Sol Ruka. So hopefully she is okay. I haven't seen any medical update or anything like that yet, so I'm assuming that she's going to be 100% ready to go, but that was a scary, scary fall on her very last NXT episode. But I think the potential for Sol Ruka is so incredibly high. And again, similar to what I talked about with Ethan Page, immediately getting thrusted into the IC title picture, the same can be said for Sol Ruka. And again, that just shows the vote of confidence from WWE as to where they see both Ethan and Sol right now. So I'm excited to see what Sol Ruka can do, not just on the main roster, but in this first feud with Liv Morgan. Moving over to SmackDown, we're going to start off by talking about Fatal Influence. Now, this is one that I was kind of surprised about because I really did think that it was just going to be JC Jane. JC Jane is such an incredible talent for the WWE. Again, if you're like me and you watch NXT regularly, you already know how good JC Jane is, and you know that she has been good for such a long time, and it did feel like it was just a matter of time before she did get the main roster call up because she was so unbelievably good on NXT some nights. She was one that it felt like she was more than ready even back when she initially won the NXT Women's Championship. But what I wasn't expecting was the rest of Fatal Influence being called up to the main roster as well. But I am also very excited to see how they try to use both Fallon Henley and Lainey Reed. I think that they are very, very good. I don't necessarily know if they are main roster ready quite yet, and that's why I am surprised that they did call up the entire faction. Now, with them being over on SmackDown, I think that that is the perfect choice for them because the women's division over on SmackDown right now is pretty much non existent. So, getting a big time women's faction in over on SmackDown, I think is a big, big boost for SmackDown. So again, I am super, super excited for JC Jane to be on the main roster. I don't necessarily know where they're all going to fit in because I wasn't expecting both Fallon Henley and Lainey Reed to also be called up in the process. But again, with the way that SmackDown's women's division is right now, the more the merrier. Also heading over to SmackDown is Blake Monroe. And again, talking about just how weak the SmackDown women's division is right now, having Blake Monroe move into a slot on Friday Night SmackDown, I think is a genius decision. And if you're like me and you don't really watch AEW a whole lot, you more or less just kind of follow along on social media and stuff like that, you kind of know about Blake Monroe or Mariah May over in AEW, but watching her on NXT, she really opened my eyes because her in ring work is incredibly good. Her character work is where she really separates herself from everybody else. because she does such a phenomenal job with her character work. And I'm very, very excited to see what they are able to do with Blake Monroe on the main roster. Obviously, we don't know yet because she hasn't officially made her debut yet, but one person sticks out in my mind the most, and I'm saying this because we've seen WWE give already the vote of confidence to some of these NXT call ups. And if they wanted to do the same with Blake Monroe, having her go after Tiffany Stratton in the United States Championship right now, I think would be a genius decision. Now, it does kind of have me a little nervous because we have seen Tiffany Stratton maybe not at her best as of late, even though I know she did win the United States Championship, but she is still an incredible talent. And I think that matching her up with Blake Monroe in some sort of way, I think would actually work out very, very well. And to wrap it all up, we have Ricky Saints. And similar to Ethan Page, just good all around. In ring work, incredible. Character work, incredible, top notch. I think what Ricky Saints was able to do in his relatively short time on NXT was really, really good work because we got to see two different sides of the Ricky Saints character. We got to see the babyface side and we got to see the heel side. And I would argue that the heel side of Ricky Saints was much better than the babyface side, but Ricky Saints as a babyface is still very, very good, don't get me wrong. And I am super excited to see what they are able to do with Ricky Saints. Similar to Blake Monroe, we haven't seen them officially make their debut over on SmackDown yet. However, you could do anything with Ricky Saints, and it would most likely end up being very, very good. And we do know that Ricky Saints does have some history with one undisputed champion, Cody Rhodes. So maybe they wanted to get really crazy and give us that feud right off the hop. And again, I don't think it's that far out of the realm of possibility because we've seen the vote of confidence already with this NXT call up class. We saw it immediately with the last NXT call up class. Now, I will say, Ricky jumping from NXT and immediately into a feud with Cody Rhodes is a massive, major vote of confidence from WWE. And I do think that it is kind of unlikely that it's going to happen, but still would be kind of interesting to see, though. So that is the entire NXT call up class post WrestleMania. And I'm very, very excited for the potential that this group has. And again, they do have some big shoes to fill coming off of the last NXT call up class. But I think that they could absolutely do a fantastic job. Now, what worries me is that we have seen WWE fail to use some NXT call ups in years past, but I'm hoping that given the success of Javon Evans, Trick Williams, and Obafemi, I'm hoping that that kind of opened WWE's eyes a little bit into using the NXT call up class more often than what we were seeing them do in years past. So, this is where I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this NXT call up class. And where do you think the potential for this NXT call up class is? And also let me know who you are most excited to see on the main roster. Again, for me, it's either Ethan Page or Ricky Saints. One of the two. I'm a massive Ethan Page fan. I think he is going to do a phenomenal job on the main roster. I am also a really big fan of Ricky Saints, and I think he's going to do an equally as amazing job on the main roster as well. So, as always, leave your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. And while you're down there, swing by the description and click the Linktree link. That is the only link in the description for a reason. That is because it will take you to all of the social media platforms for this channel. I do strongly suggest going and checking out our X page. Besides YouTube, I am most active over on X. We do updates for Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and the PLEs. And we are also over on Instagram and TikTok. Over there, you can expect clips from these videos, and it's just another place for me to post when I do upload a video on here to YouTube. So if you do enjoy these videos and you're looking for some extra content, again, Linktree link in the description, it'll take you to wherever you want to go. So with all that said and done, that is going to do it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Again, both are free, both really help out the channel a lot. And of course, if you have made it to this point of the video, I want to say thank you very, very much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch these videos here, because it genuinely does mean the world to me. And as always, stay tuned for more WWE content coming in the future. We'll see you next time.